Hey everyone, before the story begins, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more intense, emotionally charged stories about love, betrayal, and revenge that cuts deeper than anyone expects. The streets of Prague were quiet that night, the kind of November evening where fog rolls off the Vltava River and drapes over the cobblestones like a ghostly shawl. Streetlights reflected in puddles, and the air smelled of wet stone, wood smoke, and the faint tang of vinegar from the old markets. I had just finished a late meeting at my consulting firm, another long day, another impossible deadline. But I wasn't heading home, not yet. My mind was somewhere else entirely, somewhere dangerous, somewhere forbidden. Her name was Katerina, my ex, the one I left behind 5 years ago when I married Annika, and when I convinced myself that stability, a proper European life, and family were what I wanted. But Katerina had a gravity I could never resist. She was chaos in silk, a storm that refused to be tamed. And that night, she was waiting for me in a small jazz bar tucked away near Malastrana, the kind of place tourists never find, where the air was thick with cigarette smoke and longing. I slipped inside, heart hammering despite myself. She saw me immediately. That smile, half teasing, half sorrowful, hit me harder than any boardroom confrontation or financial crisis ever had. "You're late," she said softly, running a finger along the edge of her wine glass. "I almost thought you'd let her win." "Annika?" I asked, though I already knew. The memory of my wife, waiting at home, knitting scarves for our child, preparing meals, and wondering where I was. It pricked at my conscience, but I pushed it aside. "No, you," Katerina replied. "I'm talking about you." The night unfolded like a symphony of reckless nostalgia. We drank, laughed, whispered things that belonged in a diary no one would ever read. Time stopped in that bar. For hours, there was no Annika, no commitments, no consequences. Just Katerina, her fingers brushing mine, a soft laugh that threatened to undo the careful life I'd built. Afterward, we walked through the foggy streets, our hands intertwined as if 5 years hadn't happened. Bridges arched over the river, their iron railings slick with rain. Lanterns glowed like trapped fireflies. Prague became a private world for us, a bubble where the past and present collided violently. When we finally returned to her apartment, then the moment felt infinite. There was a tenderness to her touch, a dangerous sweetness that made me forget everything else. Forgotten promises, a sleeping wife, a child who needed me, the life I had fought to maintain. The next morning, I woke alone. Katerina had left, leaving only a note. "Remember, you chose the cage, but you can still feed the fire." I returned home before Annika stirred. She was in the kitchen, coffee in hand, smiling softly, entirely unaware of the storm I had just survived, or orchestrated. I kissed her forehead, held our child briefly, and the scent of pancakes in early winter filled the apartment. The normalcy, the safety, the routine. It was almost suffocating after the chaos of the night. But here's the truth nobody expected. That night wasn't just about pleasure or longing or old love rekindled. It was strategy. Katerina and I had shared more than passion over those years. We had shared ideas, contacts, a subtle understanding of influence and power. What seemed like a reckless reunion was meticulously planned. Over the next weeks, the plan unfolded quietly. Katerina had access to information that threatened Annika's family business, a small but growing import-export company that her parents had painstakingly built. Through subtle leaks, coded messages, and indirect pressure, we began to expose the mismanagement, the favoritism, and the embezzlement hidden in plain sight. Annika, as intelligent and careful as she was, never suspected me. I played the role of the dutiful husband flawlessly, attending dinners, parent-teacher meetings, working late at the office. Meanwhile, Katerina's influence worked like a slow current, eroding the foundation of Annika's security without revealing its source. Months later, the fallout came. Annika's father's company collapsed under scrutiny, their financial missteps exposed in a series of audits and legal actions orchestrated with Katerina's inside knowledge. The family was humiliated. The employees were scattered, investors pulled out, and throughout it all, Annika never suspected my involvement. She called me every night, seeking comfort and reassurance, telling me she didn't know how the company could recover. I listened, offering advice that kept her dependent on me emotionally while remaining ignorant of the true architect of the disaster. I wasn't cruel, not entirely. My goal wasn't to destroy Annika personally. It was to dismantle the family structures that had made Katerina powerless once, that had forced me to choose between love and survival years ago. The revenge was slow, silent, and surgical. Spring arrived in Prague again. I met Katerina in the same jazz bar. We sat in the corner, watching couples pass by, shadows cast by the lamplights flickering over the rain-slick cobblestones. "It worked," she said softly. "He'll never touch us again." I nodded. I understood exactly what she meant. Annika's family was exposed, her father humiliated, her resources depleted. Our life, seemingly perfect, now balanced on fragile threads. "Do you feel guilty?" she asked. I paused. There was a sting of it, yes. For Annika's warmth, for the trust she had placed in me, for the child who slept unaware of the storm I had unleashed. But the guilt was secondary to the clarity of purpose that had driven me these months. Survival, a reclamation, and justice as I defined it. "No," I said finally. "Not guilty, just awake." The last scene of that revenge was understated. A dinner with Annika at home. She laughed about trivialities, unaware that the financial ground beneath her feet had been systematically shifted. Our child drew pictures with crayons. I kissed Annika's cheek. The taste of ordinary life was almost nauseating after the nights of strategy, danger, and seduction. Later that night, I returned to my apartment in Prague. Katerina was waiting. We poured wine, and I watched the city lights flicker on the river, reflecting in the glass. "Next time," she whispered. "We plan the fire first, the smoke later." I smiled, thinking about the careful orchestration, the long months of patient maneuvering, the subtlety of revenge. Not loud, not messy, but perfect. And as I held her hand, I realized that true vengeance was never about immediate satisfaction. It was about reclaiming the agency stolen from you, bending the rules of fate quietly, ensuring that those who underestimated you, those who believed the cage could contain your desires, woke up one day to find the world tilted irrevocably in your favor. That night, I slept knowing one truth. The unforgettable night with my ex had been nothing compared to the long, slow awakening of justice. And in that awakening, I had won.